You're listening to Truly Unruly with Marcus and Jessica Trufant. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Truly Unruly with Marcus and Jessica Trufant. My name is Kel, and we have a special guest today. The one and only Alli Williams. Everyone say hi to Allie.
What up, what up, what up?
Hey, Allie.
All right.
Allie's here today because today we are talking about relationships and money. Allie is the founder and CEO of... Now, Allie, how do I pronounce this right? Is it FinaciALLI?
I mean, you can say what I say financially. It's just spelled like ALLI, like my name.
Love it. That's slick.
I didn't think
it.
of it. My friend thought of it, but we'll take it.
I like the play on words. And so it's FinaciALLI Focus, a financial literacy company helping people create a flexible financial plan that they can stick to. She has helped hundreds of people pay off debt, build savings, spend on what they value, invest, and feel confident in their finances. Allie has been featured on Business Insider, NerdWallet, Channel 7 News, and more. Allie also has an MBA in finance and lives in South Carolina. She has a husband, two wonderful kids that we've been talking about off camera. One is 3 and the other one is 1, right, Allie?
Yep.
Yes. And she spends her time at football games. Go Gamecocks. South Carolina in the building.
What?
Wouldn't know who that is. Gamecock.
South Cackalack. Yeah.
Yeah. South Carolina.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, Allie.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
So I kind of want to cut to the chase, Allie. This time of year, especially the holidays with families, and people spend a lot of money in December. That's if you celebrate Christmas, if you celebrate Hanukkah, heck, if you celebrate Kwanzaa, you're buying gifts and you're spending money. But what do you do since now we've been living in a time, especially this year, when a lot of folks are really tight on their finances? Like, they don't have a lot of money to spend, but they may have a spouse that expects them to spend. How does one navigate through that?
Yeah. So financial inequality is like in any form, I feel like is tough. So if you're already married and one person makes more than the other, right? Or if you're newly married and maybe one has more debt than the other, and just kind of navigating or spending habits, right? Like one spends more than the other. One, I think open communication is key. I think the issue with money these days is like we talk about everything with our partner and friends, right? Like we'll talk about like gossip at work or like, gossip with friends, but we won't talk about money. Like we won't be like, hey, I'm saving for this, or hey, I'm trying to pay off debt, or, I'm trying to do things. It's like this like secret topic that if you like mention something you're trying to do, it's like, people judge you, or you think people will judge you. So I think in a marriage, one, just like talking to your spouse, like, hey, I want this. And wanting things isn't bad. Like the issue is not wanting things. The issue is unplanned spending, where now it's taking away from, saving, or it's putting you in debt, or you're not able to like invest for retirement. So the issue isn't wanting to spend. The issue is, hey, let's like come together as a couple and figure out a way to get that for you. Like my husband and I have different wants. Like we don't like the same things, which is totally fine. But like we just plan for both of our individual wants. Like that's normal to want different things. It's just having a plan that like, if this costs $1,000, you're not just like swiping the card and like hoping for the best, and you're like adding it to the budget and having those discussions so that you can still reach your money goals and spend at the same time.
Do you think that people don't like to talk about their finances and money and stuff with their friends because it is a sensitive time? Well, I guess, it's always been a sensitive time, but it's an even more sensitive time. And it can possibly expose some financial shortcomings. And I know everybody doesn't want to be completely forthright about their situation, especially when they're in a bad situation or a difficult situation. So I think it's tricky about talking about money and sharing about your finances, because people will take that and run or judge you or spread it, and not okay.
I think with that, like what I found is like if you are the first, to say something, usually your friend or what has maybe not the exact same situation, but something where they can be like, okay, us too. And then you like don't feel as alone, And so it's just kind of breaking those barriers down. Like everyone has some kind of thing with their finances that maybe isn't perfect, right? Like no one can sit there and say like their budget's perfect. They're going to retire to, like everything is exactly how it should be. So I think it helps to, even if you don't say like every detail, to be like, hey, we're really trying to save for this new house. So like, instead of like, spending this, like, can we do this, or for like people being like, instead of going out to eat, on a girls' night 5 days a week or whatever, like, why don't I bring wine over and like, let's hang out, like there's ways to still like do things without, and like mention things without like, but for me, I guess I'm different. Like I shared my whole finances on the internet. So like I am the opposite.
Open book. Yes.
Yeah. But and not everyone has to be like that. But I think even if you're not that open with your friends, I think obviously within a marriage, like you have to lay it all out there because it's going to come out at some point if you don't. Like if you're hiding debt or you're hiding like some kind of financial mistake or something, like at some point it's going to catch up to you, it's going to affect your marriage in some way.
Yep. Everything in the dark eventually comes to the light.
So my comment on all of this, I'll start with the late, great, notorious B.I.G. and Sean Combs, right? The more money.
Whoa. Do we mention
that?
Yeah, we don't talk about Puff. Remember before Marcus? Yeah, we don't talk about Bill Cosby. We don't talk about R. Kelly, and now we don't bring up Puff.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll just say B.I.G., right?
Here we go.
The more money, the more props. So people that are perceived to have money, man, and have the world, is levels to it. And just like you said, Allie, people go through a lot of the same stuff. People don't want to talk about it. People talk behind your back, all this type of stuff, but everybody's going through a little bit of something, right? So it's just about how you plan, how you react to it. And when it really comes down to it, our society nowadays everybody wants to be on baller status, right? Nobody wants to be perceived as normal, doing regular stuff, doing a regular job, doing a 9-to-5. It's almost made, people look down upon it now. If you're on the social media world, oh, I can't do this because this guy only makes this amount of money, or I can't be with this woman because of X, Y, Z, right? So I think it's getting out of fantasy and kind of being realistic, right? And these are just comments I'm making, but I think popular culture, I sound like somebody's dad right now, right?
No, that's
a popular culture, and the things we see in movies and the stuff they say in music, it affects us in a certain way to where people see that as real life, man. And I think it's put a lot of people in a bad situations trying to keep up with the Joneses, trying to do stuff that's not really in their budget just because they think it's fly, right? And that's totally not the right thing to do, right?
It's not the right thing. It's kind of like our subject last week, talking about sex. I mean, it's not talked about, and you see it on TV, and you see it all like this. And so you think this is how it's supposed to be. This is how I want it. We're not going to talk about this. But, even people lie. People lie about their money. People lie all the time. Yep. So, yeah, I get what you're saying.
I feel like now, too, like every reality show, like, money comes up now at some point, like all those like couple ones, and it's like they have debt or they're doing that, and now they're like, they just met, like the Love is Blind, right? Like that one comes up all the time where like they'll, they met and they're like supposed to get married, and they're like, wait, you have credit card debt? And then they're like trying to, they're hiding part of it, and then they get married. And then I remember, I think it was like the first season, they were already married, and then she like revealed she had like tons of debt and like nothing saved, and he was just like, I've been saving forever, and then they're like trying to navigate that. And then, I agree with like social media now. It's like, you need to, all those things where it's like, you can make $200K in an hour, and it's like, if you're not making that, which is not that's not what average people are doing. They're not making, $200,000, $300,000 in a day, but then you see that and you're like, what am I doing wrong? Someone's not doing that. It's like this whole thing as well. But yeah, I think I mean, if you look at even like most lottery winners, like statistically go broke. Obviously, like you run into that with like athletes as well. You know, like same thing happens. You know, people who have a lot of money, like they obviously don't manage it well, and then they're keeping up, like you said, and then spend it. So yeah, I think it's definitely keeping up with it. Jones's issue when it comes to finances.
Allie, I had a question. Like what you said about this, because it's funny is I've watched that show Love Is Blind, and I know exactly what couple you're talking about.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Oh no, Kel.
Oh yeah, no,
I didn't know you were into these shows.
Man, I go on.
They're so terrible, but I have to watch. Like
it's a train wreck. It's like a train wreck. You can't help but watch. I go in the bedroom and it's on. So it is what it is. But
right.
Allie, do you think it is a red flag to get into a relationship with somebody that has accumulated just a shit ton of debt?
No. And I'll tell you why. Because I did it. I told you before we started. So I became debt free at 25, and then I married into $154,000 of debt. My husband, it was mostly student loans. It wasn't like he was buying like 8 cars and hoping for the best. Like it was 100,000-ish with student loans and then some credit card and a truck. And for me, the biggest thing was, could we get on the same page? Because I knew I could pay off debt. Like that's a strategy. Like that's math. Like I can pay off debt. Like that to me is not a problem. But if our money habits and our money philosophy are like very different, then that to me is like a bigger problem, because that's like core things that we have to try to like, you know, if he was like, I'm never paying it off, I'm going to spend what I want, I don't care, I'll never budget, then that to me is a bigger problem than like the debt number itself. Because I knew we could pay it off, which we did. And now I manage our finances, and my husband's just like, just tell me what I can spend. And I'm like, cool. And then we're fine. You know, like now we have this like routine and we talk about money every day, and it's just casual. But I think for me, debt isn't necessarily a red flag. It could be, depending on like what it is. It's not necessarily, but it's how they approach debt and money that could be the red flag. So if they're okay with just like maxing out their cards every day, and they're like, I don't care about saving, or I'm never going to invest for retirement. Like that to me is more the red flag than like the debt number itself, especially now, like with student loans. Like most people in America have some kind of debt. Unfortunately, that's just life. So if you're waiting for if that is one of your requirements, whatever, but it's hard to find someone these days who like truly has no debt at all, especially with like student loans and stuff. So I think it just depends on really their debt minds, like their money mindset, than it is like the debt number itself, at least in my opinion.
Good debt, bad debt too.
Debt is debt.
I know, yeah, but I think there's good debt, bad debt.
Debt is
if
debt.
You get on debt, we can ask a professional, right? I assume there's good debt too. If
so
you
student
invest,
loans are good debt.
No,
That's a good debt to be in.
I'm not saying that. Like if you do investments and you do different stuff, and your business is going to cover the debt, and you got a long-term plan to be able to get out of the debt and be able to do different stuff like that.
Okay, we weren't talking about that.
Well,
we're talking about like just
that's true.
Regular stuff.
I'm just saying that to the people that might not understand, though. So don't be well.
He went to. So when you invest in the business and you use the business to pay the debt, that's
true.
Not what we're talking about.
It's true.
Because ain't nobody got a business, and that's why we're in debt.
Sometimes.
And then my other question, then Allie, also was, how does one communicate with, let's say your spouse spends a lot more than you do, right? And you try to communicate with them about putting them on an allowance, but they don't take to that. Like they don't like hearing that because they feel like it's almost like they're being controlled. How do you approach that? Like, how do you approach your spouse of like, hey, look, this is our situation. You clearly spend way too much money. So we have to put you on some kind of allowance. Because as an adult, it's like, well, I feel like you're now treating me like a child. But it's like you spend money like a child. You let it burn a hole in your pocket. So
I think the biggest thing is, one, not to approach it that way. Is to more come to it as, hey, these are the money goals we're focused on, right? Like discuss it as like your goals and dreams as a couple. So let's say you're trying to buy trying to buy a house, trying to save for your kids' college or retire early, whatever your couple goals are, right? Like, then you're kind of backtracking, like, okay, if these are our goals and we're trying to do it in 3 years, 5 years, whatever, this is the number we need. Then, okay, well, let's look at our income and expenses. Based on that, we're currently not on track. So, you know, then let's look at our expenses. Then you dive into together, like, where's our money going? You know, and you're not approaching it as like, you do this, I do this. I think in a marriage, you're a team. Of course, we will address like the spending portion, but at the end of the day, in my opinion, like, it's y'all, like, you are together. So you have to, you know, communicate and like compromise. So when you look at your expenses, that is where you will see obviously who is spending. And I think you should never put blame or like not attack, but, you know, be like, you did this. Yeah, that person knows. I mean, the person knows. I mean, no one, like, if I look at a line item, it's very clear if it's mine or my husband's, you know, it's not like he's sitting there being like, oh, is this mine? You know, it's pretty obvious. So I think the person knows. I think what's important is using the numbers, like facts versus feelings sometimes when it comes to finances. What are the numbers showing us? And then if we do need to make adjustments, that's when you look at adjusting spending. Hey, I noticed, you know, we are spending a lot in this category and we need to kind of like rein that in. So how do we do that? And I mean, we do an allowance. I mean, I call it that because I don't really care. But we have combined finances and then we have like separate spending money or allowance. And that's our like no questions asked money because it's budgeted. So like, I don't know what my husband spends it on and I don't care. We don't have to check in. It is a budgeted amount that we both get. We don't have to like ask if we can buy things as long as it's, you know, that amount. Anything more than that, like bigger ticket things, we discuss it and we either pay for it or we add it to the budget. So it's, you know, it kind of helps eliminate those little things like, can I buy this? Can I, you know, like the lower ticket things, you don't have to check in all the time because you each have your quote unquote allowance. Each month you can let it grow. Like it's you can do whatever you want with it. And then for those bigger ticket things that we each want, we just either create like a fund for it to save for it, or we just add it to our, you know, joint budget and just talk about it. So I think if you know what some person, like one of you is a spender, I mean, that person probably knows, and then approaching it as like, hey, let's figure this out together will kind of keep them from being like defensive, you know, being like, oh, you're trying to like control me. You're trying to say that I can't do this. So if you look at the numbers together and say, hey, look, you know, these are our goals. This is what we're spending. How do we, you know, reach these goals based on our expenses? And then you can decide like I always tell couples to do like spending money or allow whatever you want to call it, like separate, no questions asked money if you have combined finances, because it avoids a lot of little bickering over like, you spent $30 here, or you spent, you know, like the little amounts, and then bigger ticket things you just discuss. So that's what I would do if it was me.
I think that is brilliant. Having the just spend whatever you want, well, allowance or whatever. I think that is really smart because what is it like? Couples argue and divorce over finances, sex, and
cheating, probably infidelity, or does that?
Money is second. I think.
Right.
Sex is first.
Yeah. So come up with that allowance.
And make sure you have sex too, so you don't get.
Oh God. Anyways, I have sex for allowance.
Oh,
Jesus.
Nice.
You guys have any questions?
Oh God. That was
terrible. Man. I wanted to jump in. Because Allie said something earlier that made my ears perk up, right?
Oh God.
When you talk about social media and some of the stuff you see on social media when it comes to these side hustles and passive income, I don't have to do anything, I can make all this money. In your professional opinion, all these videos and stuff that we see on social media, talk to our fans, talk to our listeners, is any of this true? And if you have an idea for us that could work for us, that might be looking for side hustles, et cetera, could you give us some game on that?
Yeah, like I think a lot of those like that I've seen at least where it's like make $100,000 in a day or whatever. Like I did it and I retired my whole family and no one has to work ever, you know, like those type of things. It's feeding on everyone's obviously like need for like, you're just convincing people, and what they're usually doing is selling you a program how you can do it too. And then they sell that, who someone sells, you know, it's kind of the cycle where you're not actually teaching someone like a real skill on how to do something. Right. It's like,
but you got to pay up front. You definitely got to pay up front first.
You pay for this course or whatever to teach you how to make money, to teach you how to make money, kind of that cycle. And I think if it was, in my opinion, if it was real, where it was easy to make $200K in a day, then everyone would be doing it, right? Like, I would do it if there was an easy way out, that really someone cracked the code to make that money in a day. I mean, everyone would do it. I think for reasonable side hustles, if you want to create your own business, it's like find a skill you have, find a need, right? And then you create something to meet that need that someone, if you, I don't know, are a fitness expert, create a course for, people who work from home, like if someone's, for me, I have little kids, like I'm not going to the gym a lot, unfortunately. So, like you can see, find
I'm not either. Right.
Areas, but I don't think I've seen those. I don't think that they're legit, in my opinion. I mean, obviously someone's making money, but I think it's more of a, they tug on your heartstrings of like, I need money. This person claims it works and I'll do anything to make more money type of thing.
This man, Marcus, just asks if the MLM actually works. I had a dude one time come up to me in the grocery store,
it does for them. I mean, it works for them.
For the top down, the person that's at the top of the pyramid. But like, I had a dude come up to me one time in the grocery store, y'all. I shit you not. It was a 24 hours, way before COVID, right? So this is back when grocery stores were still, some of them were still 24 hours. Dude came up to me in the store 1 a.m. in the morning. I had to get oatmeal because I needed my oatmeal, right, in the morning. And the guy comes up to me and goes,
"Steel cut, or you got regular kale?"
This is steel cut all day. Okay. So dude came up to me, Asian dude came up to me and goes, "Hey man, how are you?" And I'm like, "Good." He's just like super friendly with me, and I'm like, "Yo, it's 1 a.m. This is weird." So then he's like, "Man, I'm making so much money right now. I got this program that I'm a part of, and blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Oh God!" And I knew immediately. I'm like, "Oh God, it's a multi-level marketing scheme this guy's trying to sell me on." And I kept asking him, I'm like, "All right, well, I'm gonna fuck with him." So I go, "All right." I was like, "So, what do you do?" Well, I have a site with these products and I sell products and we make a lot. I'm like, "Okay, but what are your products? What do you sell?" And like, I just kept like digging and like, he didn't want to tell me. He goes, "Well, you can come to this meeting that we have." I said, No. I want to know what it is that you sell. Where do you sell it and how do you make money? And then I just was like, "Look, dude," I was like, "You're trying to probably sell me like Amway or something or Herbalife or whatever." And I was like, "I know the scheme, bro." I don't know. That made me think of that because the MLM thing, like it pulls on the heartstrings. I think what it does, it is something to keep poor people poor. No, for real though, like because it's for people that are desperate.
Right.
Like money just does not just appear. Like, I'm sorry, like unless you win the lottery or unless you hit a bet on a sports bet or in a casino or something, you're not gonna just wake up one day and say, "All right, I'm gonna put up a website and sell a whole bunch of Heinz 57 ketchup and make $200K." Like that's just not reality.
If you get the program, Kale, though, if you pay for the program up front, you might hit that 200K.
You might hit that 200K.
Yeah. So what I will say,
Marcus has a story.
Kale, in my comment, pulling on the heartstrings, sometimes it's not always for self, right? If you want to bring your family in, you could take care of your mom and your aunties and everybody at this meeting. Exactly what you're talking about, Kale. You guys come and sit at this meeting and we're all gonna
tricked.
And we're all gonna make $1 million and I'm gonna put you in this position and we're all gonna go to the moon and make all of this money, man. And that's the unfortunate part about money and just the way people think about it, right? As far as just trying to find the least road of resistance, right? And sometimes you got to take your lumps, right? And you just hope those lumps aren't too strong or too impactful and you learn from them. But
you said you were going to tell this. That's not the story.
Well, what was the brand or what was the thing? It was about like some cell phones and some phone lines.
Are you talking about the guy with the Bentley with
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember
Bentley,
what it was.
It might not have been a Bentley.
I immediately called bullshit. And Marcus is having meetings at our house. He's bringing cousins, family members in. They're doing fucking cold calls and shit, basically. All this kind of stuff. And this guy, he pulls up in a Bentley, right?
So he had to be legit, right?
Right. And I look at the Bentley, and like underneath, there's like the whole, I don't even know what's underneath the front bumper, but it's like hanging off of the Bentley. And I'm like, you don't have a Bentley and have shit. I was like, he is not legit. This is not legit. And it ended up not being legit, but I know some of his family members really stuck to it for a while. And they were getting money.
Yeah, I really don't remember.
They were getting a little bit, but that's like a full-time, more than a full-time job.
It's a scam, though.
Right. And then when it fails, everybody gets let down.
Right. And then it comes back to the person that put everybody on.
To you. Right?
So, yeah, I'm giving out cash, man. I'm reimbursing. If I remember correctly.
I'm
giving out cash. But it just goes to say that you got to keep your guard up, right? And if something is too good to be true, Allie, right? In most situations, it's not the real deal, right? And you just got to be careful, man. There's so many snakes out there. There's so much scams, and you click on this site and you could do this, or you put in 2,000 and you could get 10,000 right back. And people are struggling out here. People are hurting. People know family members. People want to help people. People want to do stuff. It's all type of situations, but you just got to be mindful. Good old-fashioned hard work and smart investments, and it usually takes time. The fast money, I mean, if you're in the street, maybe, but there's really no such thing in my mind as fast money unless you're putting in, $50 million to $100 million into something.
You're like, again.
Why am I doing that?
Unless you invest $50 million.
You have to put a lot of money in if you want to get a bigger return. That's just simple math, is what I'm saying.
Right. And
so that's not here. That is real life.
Right. But to your point about everybody struggling, and then you saying, "Oh, it's all about hard work." People work hard as hell. But because of this economy, because of how it's almost like, how can you blame people that overspend or that are in debt?
Or they get caught up in scams too, because they want to get a leg up.
Capitalism, and there is consumerism, and all you see is buy this, bigger, better, like freaking McDonald's, supersize it. I want more, I want more, I want more. So naturally, you're going to want more. You're going to do things to get more. You're going to do those side hustles. You're going to do that. You're going to do illegal things because, like you said, everybody is struggling. But I feel like it's almost not even I guess it is. You have choices and whatnot. But we are living in the greediest, just most capitalist society ever.
On all levels, though, too. And that's
on all levels, where the rich get rich and the poor stay poor.
I have a comment and a question, because I am a capitalist and I believe in capitalism, but I think, and Allie, I need your MBA expertise right now. Do you believe, and this is what I believe as a small business owner, do you believe that the American economy and financial system was not created for the W-2 worker? And I say that because based on the tax codes that are in this country.
Yeah, totally. And I think, times have changed, right? But like the pay obviously hasn't, in general, right? Or if you think back, even 20, 30 years, you only had one parent that needed to work to live. A lot of times, I will work. I'm not saying women should stay home or whatever, but I'm just saying to live, you only needed one income. Right. Now most families need two to live, and that it's not a choice to work. Like, it's not a choice that I want to work, which, it's like I have to afford to live. So I think, taxes, the tax, that's a whole other conversation, like just the amount we pay in taxes. or Social Security, like how if you really just took that money and invested it, you'd have way more for retirement than if you actually what you get out of Social Security. But I think back to your point about people, if you think about like the buy now, pay later or Afterpay, it's like you could buy that. You don't have money, but you could buy this now, and then I'll charge you 8 payments of $50 for a T-shirt, or for things like that. They make it so easy to spend. And
they make it easy.
I always tell
Layaway.
people, it's
Kmart.
so. Yeah, I mean, they have every website now has like the Afterpay or the whatever, all of those like buy now, pay later.
I think Affirm is one of them too.
Yeah,
they make it very easy to stay in debt.
Yeah,
and to spend
but
above
another
your
thing
means.
is the other side I found is people don't face their numbers. Like they'll complain to me. I get sob stories all day, and some of them are legit. I'm not saying that there aren't people who truly don't make enough. But I'll be like, do you even know where have you checked your checking account or whatever? Like, oh no, like I don't know what we have. And I'm like, if we just started by looking at your account, creating a budget, yes, it's boring, right? Like that's not the fun way to, like make more money or whatever. But if we created a strategic plan for you to pay off debt without having 17 jobs or, to like save for the things you want, like you can do it, but that's not flashy. That's not sexy. Like, the budget for most people, like that doesn't sound fun like that. But really a budget is just telling your money where to go. Like, I don't care what you call it a spending plan. Like a budget is, you get to decide I always tell people, I'm like, if your budget is restrictive, that's your own fault. Like you created your budget. So you can like complain about not having spending money or you complain about whatever, but you created your budget. So if you need to add something, great. But I mean, you're the one that wrote it down. But now with subscriptions too, like, everyone has 75 streaming services and you don't think it adds up, but it does. So it's like, if you need to cut things, and I always tell people too, just because you cut something from your budget doesn't mean it's forever. Maybe you cut it for 6 months, pay off some debt and then add it back in. Like everyone thinks things have to be so like fine. Like, oh, if I remove this, I'm done. Like do it for 3 months, put that money to debt and then add it back in. Like, why are we making this like a, permanent thing? Just move things around, do what you need to do, save, pay off debt, and then add back the things you want. Like doesn't have to be this like strict, like structure, thing.
Right. So Kel, you're all for capitalism.
Yeah, I am a capital. Absolutely.
Get them, Jess.
Why? How?
Because if you look at the tax code in the United States and how taxes are written for small business owners and business owners, there's a lot of ways that you can save money, and that's why I asked Allie the question of, does she believe that the system isn't made for the W-2 worker? Which I've once was a W-2 worker and felt like that's how you stay in a hamster wheel and you stay in the rat race. So this country
where you came from.
Right. This country is built for the business owner. So, and that gives you more of an independence. Now I can go and look at somewhere like Germany, which I read on something about today. In Germany, let's say you make $1 million in Germany. After you pay taxes, they have they pay regular taxes. They have a church tax. They have a pension tax. And they had one other tax, and that $1 million went down to $504,000. That's 49.1% that people pay there. If I made $1 million, that's what people would be paying after in taxes. You see what I'm saying?
What's free? I guess on the opposite side of that.
What is their debt? And all that other... What is their debt percentage?
Is healthcare covered there, Allie?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, I don't want to. I would say I think most
everywhere but here.
Europe. It's pretty much
I believe it is, but it's not good though.
They also get like a year off for like vacation. I mean, they have their corporate vacation time is like wild. Like they take like 6 months.
Balance it out.
Right. There's a trade-off, Kel, and I'm pretty sure America is in way more debt.
Right, but the thing is, though,
having all their
but what you have to
taken.
understand though is if you look at like those Nordic countries that have they pay extremely high taxes, but they have free healthcare, and the month of August everyone doesn't work, right? Because I have a buddy in Iceland, like that's how it is. But everyone, Italy. But the thing is, though, everyone lives a certain standard. Like everyone lives the exact same way. So it's like here, at least here, I know that I can work harder and make more money and live a certain way, and I know that I'm not going to have the government take as much out if I'm a business owner, because there's certain loopholes and certain tax breaks that I'll get as a business owner. You see what I'm saying?
That they don't advertise, and most people don't understand or can't.
And that's the thing, and that is the part I would say that is messed up about the American money system, is that they don't teach you the stuff in school, and then when they do teach it to you, it's extremely boring, so nobody wants to listen or want to hear it, because they know if everybody knew this information, it'd be a complete 180. You see what I'm saying? So like Marcus said, it's not stuff that you're going to learn in school in some econ class. Like, you have to go and actually seek out that information. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
That's the one thing about the United States is you can make you're going to get taxed, but you can make as much money as you want to here. There's some countries that they don't allow that. You can make a whole lot of money, but you like a Russian government or a Chinese government, they're going to come and say, no. That's our money. You see what I'm saying?
That. Yeah.
Right.
So that's the reason why, like, I say, like, compared to other parts of the world, yeah, it sucks here, but it's pretty good compared to a lot of other places.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yes. I get what you're saying. But what we also don't learn in school, not to be a Debbie Downer, but the first capitalists in America were slave owners. So capitalism was birthed from slavery. So we have just adopted this whole thing, right? They got all their money and started making all these businesses and all this kind of stuff and just get generational wealth and shit off the backs
free labor
of slaves.
Yeah.
And so that's capitalism in essence.
But Jess, that's an argument. I feel like that's just more about principle. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, like, yeah, like the one of the biggest money makers in the United States was slave labor. Absolutely. Right. And it's awful. Free labor, it's terrible. Right, yeah. It's free labor. Right. Yeah, it's awful. It's terrible, you know?
And it's formed what we are now proud of. You know, we can make all the money we want.
But here's the thing. You and I and no one else can change what happened. It is what it is. This is where we live, and this is the system that we live in. So it's like, we can complain and say, oh, I hate capitalism because blah, 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 this, that, and the history. Yeah, that's effed up. But at the same time, like, we're still going to make money. You're not going to complain about that iPhone that you have that got mined and and has precious minerals and materials from places like China that's coming from people that are working like slaves in China, or people that are mining in these mines in Africa. No one's going to complain about your iPhone. You're not going to complain about your computer because
out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
I'm not complaining about that.
Out of mind.
It's the principle. And it's like, and when you're a capitalist, I don't know. It's like, and on one hand, I get it. But on another hand, it's like, it's just almost unfair.
It is, but that's the system.
But I know, that's life. That's the system. That's the way it goes.
And the have-nots.
I'm all about being fair.
And
I want to be fair.
That's just kind of, well, nothing is fair. I know that you do want to be fair, and that's your thing, but that's not really how it works all the time.
I had a question, Allie, about, because I have a friend, he watches this and he's going to hate the fact that I'm bringing this up, but I'm not going to say his name.
Don't do it, Kel. Stop doing that.
No, because I really want to know about this. How do you feel about couples that have been together for a really, really long time, but they have separate bank accounts? And one doesn't know how much the other one has. And so it's like the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. And I feel like it's kind of like taking a toll on his relationship, because like he's been with they're not married, and he and his lady have been together for a really long time, and they have a kid. So it's kind of weird, but like they don't share finances, and they don't even share financial information. And I believe what happens is, like, she just gives him money for the bills, but she doesn't really know actually how much is being spent on the bills.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you're married, it should be combined and then have set. Like, for me, I don't care. There's ways. I've worked with couples who don't, and that's totally fine. Like, it's personal preference. And I think if you're not married, like, I don't know. If I wasn't married, I don't think I would combine finances. But I think if you have a life together and kids, you need to at least have like financial transparency. Like, not saying you have to have everything combined, but like if you're paying for half the bills, like, I want to see the numbers, like, if I'm paying you for bills, like, I think it's fair to say that you both should still have like a budget of like, if you don't want to have everything combined, I think you should at least have a budget you review of like, okay, these are our bills. So if we're going to split it, another thing though to consider, which I handle all the time, is like, if you have different incomes, I don't think it should be 50-50. I think it should be like a weighted average. Because I don't think it's fair to say, in my opinion, like if someone's making 200K and someone's making 50K or whatever, like to say you each put the same amount in, I mean, then one person has insane amount of spending, saving money, and one person has like $0, but yet you're equals, you know, like that. I always say you really then need to look at a weighted average, like some kind of agreement, but it doesn't have to be 50-50. I mean, I think people think, yes, you're equal partners, but your finances clearly are not equal. So
that's what I was going to say.
Where did that come from?
That was my next
50-50.
question. Right, yeah.
We've got to split everything 50-50. Right. Fuck 50-50. Nice. Like what this is over here, this is 100-0.
Nice.
So
but that's just finances though, and that's my thing. When you're growing a relationship or you're in a marriage, in a union, there's more than money to the relationship, right? And to your togetherness. And what does that look like? And to each individual, of course, is different, but money is just one part. What other skills do you have, or what else are you bringing to the relationship, right?
But money is huge stressor.
Yes, money is
on a relationship.
Huge stress. So what I'm going to do on the other side, though, is, Allie, like talking to those couples that are so, focused on the money and making sure we don't have this stress, the work-life balance, right? Yeah. I say these phrases and I talk about making shirts and doing all this kind of stuff. I wrote down some of your phrases. You said facts are your feelings. I'm gonna make a shirt about that. And you've created your budget, bam, in parentheses. But yeah, so work-life balance. Do you deal with a lot of couples, or have you talked to a lot of people that all they want to do is just go, and they need to pull back and kind of live life, enjoy your kids, enjoy your marriage?
It's about being content.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of people aren't, though.
Because.
Right.
And I think it changes too. Like for me, if you asked me at 21 what I wanted, I'd be like, I want to be like high up in a corporate, if you asked me right out of college, I was like, I'm going to be like CEO of some, or whatever. And then now I'm like, I want to see my kid, now like priorities change. Like we moved last year. We live on a 25-acre farm in South Carolina. We have like land and animal, like, but it's peace. Like, that's what I want. It's just like, I can do what I want. I have space. No one can take that from, it's just like our little, like, and I love just being with them. But then, I think people get burned out if you do that at some point, right? Like if you chase the money forever, you're going to obviously be lacking in some other area of life. For some people that's what they want, which is fine. But I think getting really clear on what do you truly value? Like at the end of the day, what do you value? Is that time with your family? Is that retiring early? Is that, going to visit loved ones that maybe you don't see often? Or is it taking your kids on adventures or setting generational wealth for them that they don't have to, worry down the line? And then obviously planning your life around that. But I think, if you are that that workhorse, like your health might suffer. And then guess what? Like maybe you're 50 or whatever and you have a heart attack, and so much for all that, you work so hard for all this money and then you don't even get to enjoy it.
I'm knocking on wood.
Can't take it to your grave.
Yeah. So I think definitely, especially with the marriage too, like there's so many other things that go into it. Money is important because it's tangible. Like you can, even though I don't keep cash, but it's still like a tangible thing, right? Like you can see it, but you don't see like the behind the scenes things of running a household, getting kids to appointments. I just think of my kids, it's like appointments, changing out clothes. Do they have snacks? When's the teacher conference? When's this? Is laundry done? What do we have? What snacks do they have? What are they eating this week? Like just the mental load of having kids is a full-time job by itself. So like if someone's making money and the other person's like managing the household, to me, that's a whole other, thing by itself. So I think, my mom was a stay-at-home mom and my dad worked, and I remember we would push her buttons because we would say like, it's daddy's money or something, just to like make her mad. And my dad always defended her. Right. Like my dad would always be like, it's ours, like he never said like, I make money, your mom, like they have like statistics on like if you paid, you know, a stay-at-home mom, like, what that would look like, you know, salary-wise and all those things. So I think it's coming into it, like I even said in the beginning of, it's not like mine and your, you know, this is mine, this is yours. It's like, how do we come together and like figure out a plan for us is like so important. Because if you hold that over someone, you're always going to have relationships. You know, if you always say like, I make more money or I do this, you're always going to have some kind of
I think that's
that resentment. That's resentment.
And you know what, Allie, you are right. Stay-at-home moms get a bad rep.
Totally.
I have been disrespected. I have been pretty much told I don't do shit, that I go to fucking brunch with my friends every day and he makes the money, so I should act accordingly and have his dinner ready when he gets home.
And
fuck
laundry.
That.
Laundry.
Now that I am here, so fucking what? Yeah. I bet you wish you didn't have to work, right? And times are changing. Like, so, I don't know. I don't like you guys taunting your mom saying it's daddy's money. Yeah, it is. It is. I would be like, yeah, it is his money.
I disagree. Yeah,
really?
Yeah, no.
Our son just asked us, and I had to be like, our son, he's 8. He was like, Mommy, what did he say? I wrote the whole conversation down. I put it actually on Instagram, and he was kind of asking me, how did I get my money? And I'm like, well, your dad, you know, did this. And so now we all have money. And he was like, well, Mom, did you work? And I'm like, yes. And he's like, well, how long did you work? And I'm like, from like 17 to 22. And he's like, what? So you don't have money? And it was just like, I don't know. It was awkward, but at the same time, I have no problem with him being the breadwinner. I just don't.
I think it's more like
weird.
You're still able though to make financial decisions, right? Like if your kids were like, can we buy this? Like you don't have to be like, let's ask daddy, right? Like I think it was more coming from like, we would taunt her of like, you don't have a say, you know, more not saying,
right. Okay.
Like, yes, we knew I mean, it was clear, like my mom stayed home, my dad worked. Like we all knew, it wasn't like a secret that like technically my mom had no paycheck. It was more like, you know, my mom still has financial say in this family, even though she's not the one, you know, technically like making money, but like obviously like your kid, you know, if they were like, can we do this? You don't have to be like, well, let's check in, you know, let's see what daddy says. You know,
wait
like
till daddy gets home.
Every financial decision because you don't quote unquote like make money. You know, I think it's like how they like put kids. I mean, we would just do it because we just knew we'd get a reaction, but like, it was more, you know, like, well, you can't tell us what to do because you don't have money type of thing.
Right.
But
that's basically what I've been told. Sit down and shut up because you don't make the money.
Not from me, though. We need to make that clear to
and
the
now
listeners.
It's like, fuck you. I will tap dance all over this money at home.
No, it's a partnership, though. It's a partnership.
A job. It is
it's a partnership.
Oh,
I mean, if dad is out there doing his thing and doing 9 to 5 every day, and then a mom is taking care of the kids, taking care of the home. It's a partnership.
I'm going to die early. My mental health is suffering from being a stay-at-home mom.
The stress is heavy at the house. Yeah,
are you kidding me?
I will say that. Absolutely.
Well, this was, I think, a great conversation. Allie, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your expertise.
Yeah,
and can you let folks know where they can find you on social, and if they, you know, need your services, where can they find you?
I know.
Yeah,
so phone out. No.
I'm on Instagram probably the most, which like my phone tells me that, you know, and it tells you like how many minutes you spend on apps. It's always Instagram. So Instagram's the best place to find me at FinanciALLI Focus. And then I have my website, which is FinanciALLIFocus.com, has free like blogs, courses, all the information's on my website or my Instagram. So those are kind of the best 2 places to find out what's going on.
Okay, and we'll definitely have all of your information in the show notes so folks can find you so they can get them some financial literacy. because we all need a little bit of it, right?
Yes. And I like the way you were laying it out. It makes sense. It's easy to digest. Thank you, Allie.
Thank you. That's always my goal. Make money conversational and fun is what and people always roll their eyes. I'm like, I swear it doesn't have to be this like super textbook boring thing. Like you're going to have money. Might as well like make your plan somewhat, fun and enjoyable, or at least get to that point.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, Allie, thank you so much for joining us. This was Truly Unruly with Marcus and Jessica Trufant. Of course, follow us on social, all things social at TrulyUnruly_podcast. Listen to us on your favorite podcasting platform. And remember to please like, subscribe, and leave a review because that helps us out a lot. And you can catch the visual on YouTube and catch us every Sunday on Converge. Boom. I think that's it.
I think so. Right on.
Thank you, Allie. Thank you, Allie.
Till
next time, peace and much love.